It's April 2020. Many of us have shifted our businesses to work from home. Some of us by choice, and others because of the global pandemic and recommended quarantines. And while we're going through some challenging times globally, we're proving that business can get done remotely. Hello, I'm Matthew Encina here from the future. For those of you who haven't worked from home before, we know the transition can be challenging. And while you're in self-isolation, it might be even tougher. Many of us at the future have had the privilege to work from home for some time now. And that's why the staff have all come together to share our perspectives and tips when it comes to work from home. So you can set up your workspace, work with the family around, and maintain a level head through it all. First, we jump over to Ben and Elise Burns. Ben is our Chief Operating Officer, and Elise manages our customer support. They share what it's like to work from home with 2 kids and what a day in their household looks like.
Working from home has always been a dream of mine, but when you have little kids running around, it can be...
Just here.
How can you get things done? How can you create the time and space to focus when you have little kids? I'm gonna be honest, I would not be able to do it alone.
Mom life is exhausting. And so having a partner home with you is wonderful. It makes the day go by a lot quicker. While having him home is wonderful, it can be challenging to find time and space for both of us to get work done. The most helpful thing that we have found that works for us is to have a flexible work schedule. We found for us that Ben can get a lot done in the morning. So I'll take the girls, we'll do some fun activities, and if it gets a little crazy, which it's bound to do at some point, he turns on some music and we just turn the whole house into a dance party.
So that brings us up to, lunchtime. And right after lunch, our youngest daughter goes down for a nap. And when she's down for her nap, that's when I try to schedule all of my calls and my meetings. And Elise sits down to get all of the customer service emails done.
Between 4 and 8, at least in our house, and I'm sure there's some hours around that for you guys, they are the witching hours. It's a mess. Dinner needs to be made, then bath time, and getting ready for bed, and it is totally unrealistic to get any work done. So we just don't even try.
After the kids go down for the night, we take a couple of hours to finish up anything that we need to get done for that day. So it's quiet. I find that I do my best creative work in the nighttime hours. So we take advantage of that time.
We are taking advantage of those hours that work best for us. So usually a chunk in the morning, chunk at night.
That's it.
Find what works for you.
One mindset shift that's helped me adopt a flexible schedule is to stop focusing so much on the time that I'm spending on work or the time that I'm sitting at that desk, and focusing more on the things that I'm getting done. When I have a new project, I'll chop it up into little bits and pieces. And so I have a to-do list when I go into my day. When the to-do list is done, my workday is done.
Thank you, Ben and Elise, for sharing your perspective. Now we take a trip over to our resident illustrator and color fanatic, Greg Gunn. He shares his experience in isolation and how he's managing his mental health in these challenging times.
Everything is weird right now, and it kind of feels like we're living in this really slow and boring horror film with a monster that we can't see or even begin to fight. As someone who struggles with enough anxiety as it is day to day, this new existential dread is not helping me. Normally, I like to draw and create a lot of things before and after my workday. But lately I've really had trouble finding the motivation to do that. And I look around and I see people I admire who are just churning out new work and really capitalizing on this time. And I'm just playing a lot of video games. I'm not here to tell you what the answer is or that there is one, actually. All I can do is share what's worked for me and hope that it helps someone like you. Number one, I'm finding an escape. I grew up gaming. It's kind of like my comfort activity. And thanks to technology and the internet, it's quite the social scene right now, especially as we're all isolated. I can zip through the universe, slay monsters with space magic, and all the while do it while talking over a headset with my buddies who are all over the world. And they're all just as scared as I am. And I find that comforting. The second thing I'm doing is controlling what I can. So we can't meet up for dinner, we can't go out for happy hour, we can't even go spend time with friends and family. And we shouldn't, right? But that's frustrating because there's a lot we can't do. What I'm doing is trying to focus on what I do have agency over. Things like what I eat for breakfast, or what we're going to cook and have for dinner, what I wear every day. I still get dressed. I'm still doing my hair every single day and changing up my outfits. You know, what music am I listening to today that's going to kind of like put me in the emotional state I want to be. All these kind of silly things don't seem to matter, but doing this helps create a sense of like stability, and I think that's something we could all use right now. Lastly, the final thing is that I'm allowing myself to feel however I want to feel about all this. Everyone deals with kind of stress and anxiety differently. So I have to remind myself that it's okay to be happy and productive one day and totally flattened and demotivated the next. Feelings are meant to be felt. So I'm allowing myself to experience them as they come, and trying not to feel too bad about it. Do what works for you and don't feel bad about it.
Next, we head out of the country to visit one of our remote workers, Elle Money. She's our social media manager and is responsible for all the emojis you're receiving in your DMs. Elle has been working from home in her quaint space for quite some time now, so she's going to share her tips on creating a positive environment to help you do your best work.
Hey everyone! For those of you that don't know me, I'm Elle, the social media manager at The Futur. I started working for The Futur in their Santa Monica office back in 2018, and the journey so far has been incredible. As much as I loved the LA sunshine and riding my bike into work every day, my life took a different path that led me to Vancouver. Moving over 1,000 miles away to Canada means that my commute in the morning is simply getting out of bed. And sometimes not even that. When I first started working remotely, the biggest challenge was trying to stay productive in an environment that I wasn't used to working in. And when it comes to working from home, it's much harder to separate our work and personal lives. So, how can you create a space that's comfortable, encourages productivity, and offers few distractions? First, set up an area that has sufficient space for you to lay out everything you need. I'd recommend a nice bright spot because much like plants, we thrive the little sunshine. Then, find yourself a seat that encourages good posture. You want your shoulders low and relaxed, your legs at a 90-degree angle, and your spine supported by the back of your chair. If possible, shut the doors to other rooms to isolate yourself. Now, you can focus on creating a positive space. Alter the lighting to suit your needs, play music or podcasts that inspire you, and make small changes to keep yourself happy and hydrated. Don't be afraid to take my suggestions and tweak them to suit your needs and your working style. That's it from me. I hope my tips make your transition to working from home that little bit easier. If all else fails, just remember, a positive mindset and attitude is the best place to start.
I love Elle's simple setup and her positive spirit. If you're really into creating the perfect workspace, I've created a few videos on my channel of my own home office, which I'll leave links to in the description below. While I understand isolation might be challenging for some, for introverts like me, I'm kind of loving it. This period has helped me focus on my creative work and get so much done. But the biggest challenge for me is that I lose sense of time, and sometimes I spend way too long on things that aren't all that important. So I want to share a few things that have helped me prioritize my tasks and balance out my time. I have a very simple productivity system. Every day, I wake up and write down 3 to 5 tasks on a post-it note, whatever can fit on there. and that's the most that I commit to any given day. If there are more things to do, I write them down and queue it up on my desk for later. Like Ben mentioned earlier, once this list is done, my workday is done. If you're having trouble figuring out what tasks to do, I recommend checking out this post that Chris had shared on his Instagram. He shows how to use the famous Eisenhower matrix to sort out what tasks are important to do now, what you should plan for later, and what to get off of your plate altogether. It's a simple way to sort out what things you can do that will have the most impact on your life relative to your time. The most important thing I've incorporated into my workday are focus sprints, which I learned from neuroscientist Dr. Sahar Youssef last year at the 99U conference. But simply put, a focus sprint is a 90-minute period of distraction-free, uninterrupted, critical thinking work. I set a timer, focus on a task, and close off anything that will distract me, like notifications or emails. Once my 90-minute timer goes off, I step away from the computer and rest for 20 minutes. During the break, I'll make a coffee, I'll walk my dog, or just lay down and close my eyes. Resting is so important to maintain sustainable energy throughout the day and throughout the week. And without these timers, I might go on working for 4 hours straight, which sounds productive on paper, but it actually takes a toll on my body. If you keep working for long periods without rest, your sleep gets thrown off and you start to become ineffective in the long run. I know some of you take pride in jamming on your work for long sprints without taking a break. I know I've been there before, but if you study ultradian rhythms, you'll see that the rest is as important as your critical thinking time. And if you follow these natural cycles in your body of activity and rest, you'll have sustainable peak energy every day, giving you a healthy balance of creative time and break time. Now I'll hand it over to Chris Do, the CEO at The Futur, to share his thoughts on how you can use this gift of time to expand your knowledge and develop your skills.
Hi there, I'm just finishing up this book. Like me, you may have suddenly found yourself with a lot of free time on your hands. Perhaps you can use this time to catch up on some reading. If that's the case, I have 3 tips on how to get more out of what you read, increase your understanding, and help you apply more of what you learn in your life and business. First, prepare yourself by reading the table of contents. It's a high-level preview of what you're going to read. Tip 2, read the book twice. Quickly skim through the book on the first pass. It's easier than it sounds. Just read the first sentence of each paragraph. Do this in one sitting. The second pass, read slowly with the intention to analyze and understand. Read in 90-minute blocks with breaks in between. Give your mind an opportunity to process and digest. Tip 3, create a legend, a key code for what you read. For example, use a highlighter to mark keywords and phrases. Then underline things you want to cross-reference with other things you've read. For example, in Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss recommends, in negotiations, it's better to say the price last, citing that most people often guess incorrectly and underprice themselves, while in Pricing Creativity, author Blair Enns recommends saying the price first due to the anchor bias, a heavy reliance on the first piece of information. Finally, draw a box around ideas that you can use and repurpose. Think of this as a building block for something else, perhaps a talk, workshop, or presentation you plan to give. My time's up. Hope this helps.
I hope you enjoyed seeing our different perspectives on working from home. While we're experiencing great uncertainty and change, it's easy to be weighed down by all of it. It's normal, and it's okay to feel that. As we move through this situation together, I hope you can begin to see this as a beautiful opportunity for growth, because times like this will test you, and more changes will likely to come in our lifetime. But just like in the past, we'll get through this, and we'll all be a little bit more resilient as a result of it. If you like this video and want more information to help you during this time, we've created a link to pull together all of our recommended resources in one place. I'll leave that in a link down below. From all of us here at The Futur, stay healthy, stay safe, and please Follow the recommended guidelines so we can all get through this together. See you all in the future.